In the beginning, love did not shout at Nkiru Okore. It spoke softly, like evening breeze entering through a half-open window. Nkiru met Victor Adebayo in her second year at the university, a time when life still felt like it had plenty of tomorrow to share around. She was 20 years old, full of dreams, full of laughter, and very sure that love once found should be held tightly with both hands. Victor was calm, polite, and always knew the right words to say. He spoke about the future like a man who had already packed his bag for it. Marriage was not a scary word on his tongue. Commitment did not make him sweat. At least, that was how it sounded then. They started dating quietly. No drama, no loud announcement. Just two young people walking from class together, sharing snacks, sharing secrets, sharing plans. Victor used to say things like, "I don't like wasting time," and Nkiru would smile, believing him with her whole chest. When he held her hand, it felt steady. When he spoke about life, it sounded organized. To her, he felt safe, and safety can be very addictive to a young woman who wants to build something meaningful. The first few years passed sweetly. Victor remembered her birthdays. He showed up to events. He introduced her to his friends without shame. Nkiru told herself, "This one is serious." Her friends agreed. Even her mother liked him. Whenever elders spoke about patience in relationships, Nkiru nodded proudly, thinking she was already doing well. She believed love was something you grow slowly, like cassava. You plant it, you wait, you harvest later. But what nobody told her was this: some things don't grow, they just delay. And delay, when it stays too long, becomes a thief. After graduation, life began to change shape. Nkiru moved on to work, Victor too. Responsibilities started knocking. Bills entered the conversation. Suddenly, love was no longer just about feelings, it was about direction. Nkiru noticed that anytime marriage came up seriously, Victor's voice would soften like someone lowering the volume on a radio. He never said no, he just said, "Let's wait a little more." 1 year turned into three, three turned into 5. Each time Nkiru asked, Victor had a reason ready like a spare change in his pocket. Sometimes it was money, sometimes it was career, sometimes it was "let's understand ourselves better." And because Nkiru loved him, she understood. Again and again. She understood until understanding became her second name. Every December, her hope woke up early. December had a way of making women dream louder. Weddings everywhere, engagement pictures flooding social media, rings shining like fresh pepper. Nkiru would dress well, laugh well, behave well, just in case. Her heart would whisper, maybe this is the year. But instead, Victor would buy her food, crack jokes, kiss her forehead, and go home. No ring, no date, just promises that sounded older each year. By the 10th year, even Nkiru's spirit had started asking questions. Her friends were no longer gentle. "How long do you want to wait, Nkiru?" they asked. She defended Victor fiercely. She said loyalty was real. She said men needed patience. God is in control. But deep inside, a quiet fear had started growing. The fear that she was standing in one place while life was moving forward without her. Still, she stayed. Because living felt like failure and staying felt like hope. The 12th year did not announce itself with drama. It arrived like an old visitor who did not need to knock. By then, Nkiru was no longer counting time. Time was counting her. One Sunday afternoon, after church, she sat alone in her room and looked at her reflection. The woman staring back at her did not look weak. She looked tired. Tired of waiting. Tired of explaining. Tired of pretending patience was still a virtue when it had started to feel like punishment. That was the day something shifted inside her. Not anger, not hatred, resolve. She called her 3 closest friends and told them to come over. When they arrived, she did not greet them with jokes. She sat upright and spoke clearly. "I am done waiting," she said. "If this relationship will move forward, it must move now." Her friends exchanged looks. They had heard similar speeches before, but this one sounded different. This one sounded final. When Nkiru said she would take control of her relationship, they thought she meant breaking up. When she said she would confront Victor, they nodded. But when she said she would propose to him, the room went quiet. One friend laughed in shock. Another tried to caution her. The third one said nothing because she could see the fire in Nkiru's eyes. Nkiru stood up, tightened her trousers, and said words that came from years of bottled pain. "I cannot carry this relationship into old age now. It ends today, one way or another." She did not know it yet, but that decision would open the door to the most painful day of her life and the beginning of her true freedom. Once Nkiru made up her mind, sleep refused to visit her. That night, she lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling fan as if it turned slowly, like it too was thinking about her life. 12 years is not something you forget with one prayer. 12 years is not something you joke about. It is a whole lifetime of birthdays, Christmases, weddings attended, and tears swallowed quietly in the bathroom. Her heart beat fast, not because she was excited, but because she was scared of what would happen if nothing changed. By morning, her decision had solidified. She told herself that if Victor truly loved her, this bold step would truly push him forward. She convinced herself that maybe men needed to be shown seriousness. After all, had she not waited long enough? Had she not proven loyalty? In her mind, this was not desperation. This was courage. This was a woman refusing to be ignored by time. She went out that day and bought a ring with her own money. It was simple but shiny. As the woman at the jewelry stand wrapped it, Nkiru's hand shook slightly. She told herself it was excitement. Deep down, it was fear. She also booked a small surprise at a popular event center, a place people loved to visit on weekends. She wanted witnesses, not because she wanted attention, but because she wanted her moment to matter. If she was going to change her story, it would not be in silence. Her friends followed her everywhere that day, talking, warning, praying, begging her to reconsider. One said, "What if he says no?" Another said, "Men don't like being pressured, though, Nkiru." Nkiru listened, but her ears were already closed. When pain stays too long, it starts sounding like wisdom, and wisdom, when mixed with desperation, can become very dangerous. By evening, everything was set. She dressed in white, not like a bride, but like someone standing between hope and surrender. She sprayed perfume heavily, as if scent could protect her heart. As she looked at herself in the mirror, she whispered, "This ends today." She did not know that some endings come with scars. The event center was busy that evening. Children ran around, couples laughed, music played softly in the background. Nobody knew that a woman's fate was about to be tested in public. Nkiru arrived early, her friends hovering around her like guards. Her heart was beating loudly, but she smiled at everyone like nothing was wrong. She texted Victor, telling him to come urgently, that something important had happened. When Victor arrived, he looked confused but relaxed. He wore casual clothes, the kind of clothes someone wears when they were not expecting life-changing news. The music changed. People turned their heads. Nkiru stepped forward, every movement feeling heavier than the last. Then she did it. She knelt down. Gasps filled the air. Phones came out immediately. Nkiru raised her head and asked the question she had waited 12 years to hear. Victor, will you marry me? Her voice shook, but she forced it to stay loud. For a few seconds, Victor did not speak. He looked around at the crowd, at the ring, at Nkiru. His face did not show joy, it shows irritation and embarrassment. Slowly, he shook his head. Stand up, he said. Why would you do this to me? You are proposing to me? I told you I'm not ready yet. Those words hit harder than a slap. Then he turned and walked away. The crowd froze. Some laughed nervously, some whispered, some recorded. Nkiru stayed on her knees, unable to move. Shame wrapped around her tightly. Her friends rushed to her, pulling her up, shielding her, whispering comfort. But the damage was done. Her pride lay on the floor, bleeding. That night, the internet talked, the city talked, and Nkiru went home empty, carrying a pain that words could not describe. After that day, Nkiru disappeared into herself. She stopped attending gatherings. She avoided familiar places. Anytime someone mentioned Victor, her body reacted before her mind. Her friends tried to help, but heartbreak is a lonely road. 6 months passed slowly like punishment. Every night, she replayed the scene, the kneeling, the rejection, Victor walking away. Then, one evening, a message arrived from her friend. No greeting, no warning, just one sentence. Nkiru, Victor is engaged though. Nkiru felt something break inside her chest. She asked how long he had been dating the new woman. The reply came slowly. 3 months. 3 months? She sat on the floor, unable to cry. Finally, she whispered words that tasted bitter in her mouth. So, I was keeping husband for another woman. That was the moment understanding arrived. Victor was never confused. He was comfortable wasting her time. That night, Nkiru made a decision, not from anger, but from clarity. She realized that staying in that city would kill her slowly, because every street held a memory, every corner judged her. Healing could not grow there. By morning, she started packing. Nkiru did not announce her departure like a festival. She did not cry on social media. She did not call Victor. She simply woke up one morning with a strange calmness inside her chest. The kind of calmness that comes after you have cried all the tears your body can produce. She stood in front of her mirror, looked at herself deeply and said, "If I stay here, I will die slowly." The words came out gently, but they carried weight. She knew it was true. She packed her bags quietly. 2 big traveling bags, one for clothes, one for memories she was finally ready to throw away. As she folded her clothes, she remembered moments, birthdays without rings, weddings she has attended with fake smiles, conversations where she begged without opening her mouth. She paused a few times, her hands shaking, but she continued. Pain tried to beg her to stay, but wisdom pushed her forward. She changed her hair, she bought a new perfume, even changed her phone wallpaper. She was not just moving, she was changing identity. Her friends came to see her off. They hugged her tightly, the kind of hug that says, "We know what you have survived." Nobody asked too many questions. Everybody understood. At the bus park, Nkiru climbed into the bus and sat by the window. As the bus started moving, she whispered goodbye to the city that mocked her. Goodbye to the street that heard her cry. Goodbye to the love that wasted her youth. For the first time in months, she breathed freely. The new city welcomed her gently. No judgment, no memories chasing her. Just unfamiliar roads and unfamiliar faces. She rented a small apartment, quiet, clean, safe. She got a job quicker than expected. Her co-workers were kind. Nobody knew her past. Nobody pitied her. Slowly, her shoulders relaxed. Slowly, her laughter returned. Healing did not arrive loudly. It tiptoed in. day by day. One afternoon, Nkiru walked into a small clinic because of a stubborn headache. She expected an old doctor who would barely look at her. Instead, she met Dr. Lawson Emeka. He was calm, neat, and spoke softly. He looked at her like a human being, not a number. He listened patiently as she explained her symptoms, nodding, asking questions, taking notes. When he smiled, it felt warm. He treated her carefully and advised her gently. Before she left, he said, "You're new here, right?" She nodded, surprised he noticed. "Welcome," he added simply. That one word stayed with her longer than the medicine. The doctor took her number, and the next day, he called to check on her health. The day after, he sent a short message reminding her to rest. No pressure, no confusion, just consistency. Weeks passed, then months. Lawson did not disappear. He did not reduce effort. He did not start acting strange. He showed up steadily, like sunrise. Nkiru's heart did not trust it at first. Peace felt suspicious because she was not used to that kind of life. She found herself waiting for the unusual drama, the unusual excuses, but none came. When she asked him what he wanted from life, he answered clearly. When she asked about marriage, he did not dodge the question. One night, she called her friend and asked, "Why is this man not stressing me? There's this doctor I met too. He's so free with me." Her friend laughed and said, "Because he wants you." That sentence settled something inside her. For the first time in years, Nkiru stopped forcing. She relaxed into love instead of chasing it. 8 months later, Lawson invited Nkiru to a small restaurant. No crowd, no noise, no cameras, just two of them and soft music. After dinner, he looked at her calmly and said, "Nkiru, I want to build my life with you. Will you marry me?" There was no shaking, no fear, no public pressure, just peace. Nkiru said yes without her heart racing. She did not kneel, she did not beg for love, she did not panic. She simply smiled and said yes. That was when she understood something deep. Love does not need drama to be real. Sometimes it comes quietly and stays permanently, especially with the right person. Their wedding was simple but joyful. Her smile returned fully. Her eyes shone again. People whispered, "Is this not the same woman?" Yes, it was the same woman, just healed, just chosen, just loved properly now. And for the first time in her life, Nkiru slept beside someone who wanted her without hesitation. Marriage did not arrive in Nkiru's life like a storm. It came like early morning light, soft, steady, and sure. The first thing she noticed was peace, not the fake peace. Not the fake peace you force yourself to feel when you are afraid of losing someone, but real peace. The kind that allows you to sleep deeply without checking your phone at midnight. Lawson did not make promises he could not keep. He did not love loudly outside and act carelessly inside. His words and actions worked together like two friends who understood each other. When they disagreed, they talked about it. When they planned together. Nothing felt one-sided. Nkiru sometimes caught herself waiting for trouble. Her body was still learning a new language, the language of safety and peace of mind. Some nights, she would wake up suddenly, her heart racing for no reason. Lawson would notice immediately and ask gently, "Are you okay?" That alone would calm her. Nobody had ever noticed her like that before. Slowly, her body learned that it was no longer in danger. Slowly, the scars stopped itching. She started to laugh freely, talked freely, dream freely. Her home became a place of rest, not a battlefield. One quiet Saturday morning, Nkiru sat on the balcony with a cup of tea while Lawson cooked breakfast inside. She listened to him humming and smiled. That was when the realization hit her fully. Love was not supposed to be hard. Love was not supposed to drain you until you forgot who you were. Love was not a competition or a waiting room. She whispered to herself, "So this is how easy it is when a man wants you." The words did not carry bitterness anymore, they carry wisdom. She thought of her younger self kneeling emotionally for years. She did not hate that girl. She felt compassion for her. That girl loved deeply but did not know when to walk away. And now she finally understood. Endurance is not the same as peace. Nkiru did not plan to become a voice. It happened naturally. Women around her noticed the change, especially on social media. Her glow, her calm, her confidence. They asked questions. How did you do it? What changed? How did you move on? At first, she answered softly. Then she started speaking clearly. One evening, she attended a small gathering where women were sharing relationship stories. One woman cried while talking about a man who had been not ready for 8 years. Another talked about waiting until things improved. Nkiru listened quietly. Then she spoke. Her voice was calm but firm. If a man will marry you, he will not date you for decades. The room went silent. Some women blinked. Some adjusted their chairs. The words landed heavily. She explained gently, "Time alone does not create intention. Love without direction is just stress and waste of time. If you are always waiting, always begging, always hoping, ask yourself, what are you waiting for?" She did not insult men. She did not shame women. She simply spoke truth from experience. Women started sharing her words. They posted it. They sent it to friends. The sentence traveled faster than she expected. Soon, younger women started seeking her out. She would tell them, "My sister, stand up from emotional kneeling. The right man will not walk away when you speak about the future." Some cried, some hugged her, some left toxic relationships quietly. Nkiru did not see herself as a hero. She saw herself as a survivor who refused to let her pain waste itself. And deep inside, she felt peace, knowing that her story was saving others from repeating her mistakes. Years later, Nkiru sat with her daughter one evening, telling stories as the generator hummed softly in the background. The girl listened carefully as Nkiru spoke about life, love, and wisdom. She did not tell her daughter every painful detail, but she taught her the lessons clearly. She said, "Love is not something you force. You don't kneel down to beg someone to choose you. You don't wait until your hair turns gray to be valued." Her daughter nodded, absorbing every word. Nkiru smiled, knowing that her story would not end with her. It would continue as wisdom passed down. That night, after her daughter slept, Nkiru stood by the window and reflected. 12 years of waiting. One painful public rejection. One brave decision to leave. The new city. The man who knew what he wanted. Everything connected like a long road that finally made sense. She realized that sometimes life allows delay so that you will recognize peace when it arrives. This story is told today not to shame anyone, but to awaken them. It is told to remind women that loyalty without intention is bondage. It is told to remind men that love is responsibility and commitment. And it is told to remind everyone that when you leave nonsense, sense will find you. And so, the story ends where it truly began, with a woman who finally stood up from her knees and walked into her life. Thanks for staying with me till the end of the story. Hope you enjoyed the story and hope you learned one or two lessons from the story. If you do, please don't forget to like, share this to someone who needs it, and also drop a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts. Also subscribe to this channel, turn on your bell notification so you get notified when an interesting and educating stories like this drops. See you in my next video.